Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Horror Stew. And a very, very, very Merry Christmas to you. Yes, it is Christmas. So wonderful. I know this year is a little bit different than it is every year because, we live in extraordinary times. But that doesn't mean we can't have a little bit of Christmas cheer. And today, that doesn't mean that I can't give you 3 horror movies about Christmas or revolving around Christmas that you need to watch. So let's do that today, guys. And before we get started, I do want to give you a very deep Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays from Mike Isaacs and from the Geek-Stew crew. We're very grateful for the people who do watch our videos and the people who interact on our social medias. So we're very grateful for that. And we're looking forward to a very good year. Hopefully this year, we'll see some more videos coming from us, and we'll see some great activity on the channel. But for now, let's get into today's episode of Horror Stew. Let's get into 3 Christmas horror movies that you need to watch this Christmas. So these movies are not going to be in any particular order, not like, number 1's the best, number 3's the worst, but just that these are 3 movies that I really have enjoyed this Christmas holiday, so I wanted to be able to share that with you as well. So we're going to start off just with the first one that I'm looking at here, which is Krampus from 2015. Now, let me preface this by saying this is definitely a comedy horror movie. It is supposed to be kind of goofy and funny, and also, I also want to point out here that Krampus in this situation is also, there's a lot of Krampus movies, okay? And most of them are really bad B-rated movies. But there is one that sticks out from the rest. Krampus from 2015, and then how you know you're watching the right one is it has Adam Scott. He plays, I can't remember his character's name from Parks and Rec, but he plays Amy Poehler's love interest throughout most of the series. Toni Collette, who is, she's actually from a lot of different things, but I most recognize her from, she's from, oh my god, Hereditary. Whew, would have been bad if I didn't remember that one. And David Koechner, which you probably know from 100 million different comedy. He's from, just most notably in my head, he's from, he's from The Office, actually. He's in that. But he's also from Anchorman. He plays the balding one, because in real life he's kind of bald too. But anyways, so Krampus, long story short, is about a boy who has a bad Christmas and accidentally summons a festive demon to his family home. So basically, the legend of Krampus is that if you're not holding up the tenets of Christmas and you're not being merry and bright and all of that, you summon Krampus and his minions to come to your house and steal you away. And he doesn't necessarily kill you. But he does play you along a little bit. He may send his little demon gingerbread cookies after you. Or maybe you're looking for a satanic jack-in-the-box. Irregardless, he's got it for you. Krampus is just really great. Honestly, it's funny. It's spooky at some points. And I would venture to guess that if you can enjoy the likes of Shaun of the Dead or any really horror movie that's campy, you're going to really like Krampus. Honestly, Krampus is such an easy movie to watch. You can just pop it in. It's an hour and 38 minutes. IMDb has it at a 6.2 out of 10. I would give it about the same probably. But honestly, it's good. It's good, guys. Don't worry. But Krampus is fun. It's a good time for the holiday spirit. But that takes us into our next movie that you guys should watch this year. So let's get into that now. So the next movie you guys should watch is actually an anthology film. Now, if you know me, I love anthology films. I love the likes of Trick or Treat. All Hallows Eve has one of my favorite horror characters of all time with Art the Clown. And there's many more that I could name for movies that I love that are horror trilogies. But here's a holiday horror trilogy. A Christmas Horror Story from 2015. Wow, is that right? Oh, well, I guess 2015 was a good year for Christmas horror movies. But A Christmas Horror Story is an anthology film So the description on IMDb is as such. Interwoven stories that take place on Christmas Eve is told by one festive radio host. A family brings home more than a Christmas tree. A student documentary becomes a living nightmare. And a Christmas spirit terrorizes. Santa slays evil. And so yeah, this is from 2015. It's about an hour and 30 minutes as well. And this has some, it's definitely supposed to be sort of like a B-movie type feel. There's not a whole lot of known actors. However, there is one. William Shatner is the host. He's the radio host who's kind of like speaking during all of this. Very Elvira-esque, I guess you could say. But very good. And this one is I would say there is horror and campiness involved, but honestly, this one's more of a straight shot for just being spooky. If I'm not mistaken, one of the stories actually tells a story about Krampus. But I think my favorite one is the student documentary during this. The student documentary portion of the Christmas Horror Story is really, really good. Honestly, it's A+. You get some Blair Witch vibes from it, and yeah, honestly, super good. IMDb has it at a 5.7 out of 10. I would honestly rate it closer to a 7, just simply because this honestly, it has campiness to it, but it mostly is just about being scary, right? It's about telling these stories that, quote unquote, happen during Christmas, and honestly, it gives you kind of a feel of just some very general spookiness. And I 100% love it. Christmas Horror Story anthology, just tasty. Cannot get enough of it. And honestly, I have a hard time finding any other horror anthologies that have anything to do with Christmas or the holidays or the winter. Mostly they're, about Halloween, like Trick or Treat or All Hallows Eve even. Or they follow other tenets or other items when it comes to time of year and whatnot. But that being said, definitely watch A Christmas Horror Story. If I had to recommend any of these over any of the other ones, A Christmas Horror Story would be my number one for you guys to watch, just because with anthologies, it has a little bit of something for everybody, a little bit of something for everybody at the Christmas table, right? So that's my number 2. So let's get into number 3. So last but not least, I'm actually going to take this in a different direction. So let me give you some runner-ups that I kind of was going over when I was trying to find this. Black Christmas. There's an older version. There's also a newer version that came out last year. Stranger in the House is a good one. Better Watch Out is a horror comedy. Silent Night, again, Black Christmas, the old one. There's other Silent Nights. The Gingerbread Man. That's a really, really good one. That's funny. What's going on, everybody? So real quick, I had to pause the editing of the video because when I was looking up a picture of the Gingerbread Man movie, I realized that Gary Busey is the Gingerbread Man. And I just want to say that we live in such a weird timeline that it just makes sense that Gary Busey is the Gingerbread Man. But that's all I wanted to say, is that's absolutely fucking insane. Okay, let's get back to the video. And then also Anna and the Apocalypse, which is on Hulu, actually, so if you're interested in watching that. But the one that I decided to go with, honestly, it's very poorly rated on IMDb, which I'm surprised about. But it's more of a crime thriller horror. I would still consider it a horror movie just because it's more realistic. It's not like, oh my god, Krampus is here to eat my ass. But no, it's called While She Was Out, right? While She Was Out is about a woman out late for Christmas Eve shopping is soon terrorized by a small gang of troublemakers, and she must fight for her life. So I chose this one just because it follows a different formula than most other Christmas or Christmas-related horror movies do. This one is more of a crime thriller, right? She starts being harassed by these people, and it escalates, and eventually she has to fight for her life. It's very interesting, honestly. And like I said, it's a 4.8 out of 10. And honestly, I wouldn't rate it super high, don't get me wrong. But it was actually quite good. I quite enjoyed it. But it has Kim Basinger in it. And Luke Haas, I think, is one of the main characters. So Kim Basinger, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember what else she's been in, but the name sounds familiar. She was Vicky Vale in Batman, that's what it was. So basically, don't get me wrong. While She Was Out is not by any means the best horror movie of all time. I wouldn't even go as far to say that it's in my top 10 of horror movies, period. But it has a very interesting formula, right? Other Christmas horror movies follow a more, in my opinion, more of a supernatural ideology, or maybe the slasher ideology. Those are the two types of things that I typically see when you see horror movies. Like I said, Silent Night, Black Christmas, and things like that. What was the other one? Stranger in the House are slasher-esque films, right? Krampus, A Christmas Horror Story, they kind of follow more of a supernatural path. And this one actually follows a little bit of a different path, with that being more of a real-life crime thriller. So honestly, that's part of the reason why I enjoyed it, I feel like, is because, and this came out in 2008, so this is not from 2015. God, if it was from 2015, I was going to be really concerned. I was going to be like, why on God's green earth are we getting so many great horror Christmas films in 2015? Like, who pissed in somebody's Cheerios on Christmas Day in 2014 that made them make the movie for 2015? But honestly, it's While She Was Out, good movie, good experience. I will give a slight disclaimer that if you watch that, I do believe that there are, if I remember correctly, there are some sexual undertones, as well as some possible, there is no sexual assault, but it alludes to it, I think. So that would be something to keep an eye out for, because I know that definitely that's a very, very, very relevant and, what's the word I'm looking for? That's very much a good reason to not want to watch a movie, definitely. So if that would bother you, don't watch this. But the other two films would be great for you to watch. But While She Was Out is definitely good. Talks about a woman's case of survival. And honestly, it's very realistic, because I'm not trying to be morbid on Christmas, but While She Was Out very much portrays a very real-life situation where a woman would be shopping by herself, and if a woman is shopping by herself, people may view her as vulnerable or easy for an attack, and that's very real. Okay, that's part of the reason why I found it scary, because when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, this could happen to my mom, my aunt, and it made me definitely think that they should start carrying guns. But it also made me realize that movies can definitely imbue more than just horror. It can imbue a real sense of realistic dread. So definitely check it out if you want to, or check out the other two. But here we are, we're going to jump into final thoughts. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Christmas is the best time of the year, guys. And of course, this year's a little bit different. So since we're all going to be spending time at home, I think you guys should definitely check out all of these horror movies and many, many more. There are a lot of great horror movies that you guys can go watch. A lot of these are actually available on the typical streaming services. Like for instance, Christmas Horror Story and I believe While She Was Out are both available on Amazon Prime. And you can watch Krampus on Hulu, I think. But yeah, for sure, everybody just go watch these. These are really great. I mean, there's plenty more too, is what I'm saying. When I do my research, and this is something I want to share with you guys, I basically for instance, I just Googled Christmas horror movies, and it popped up, 10 lists of different genres of Christmas horror movies, and there are plenty. And honestly, it made it kind of difficult for me to make a decision, like, what should I talk about? But definitely, there's plenty more. I highly recommend Shudder. If you do want to watch some B movies and some other Christmas type movies, Shudder has plenty as well. And then obviously your typical streaming services, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, and whatnot. But 100% spend today watching some Christmas horror movies, because we can go out, we can be with family, or even if you are with family, if you're lucky enough to be with family, give them the joy of horror this year and share that with them. But yeah, so guys, I'm going to end it there. I'm not going to keep pushing it on, but I do really appreciate everybody who's watching this. And if you enjoyed, of course, please feel free to leave a comment down in the comments section below. Tell me what Christmas horror movies you enjoy this year, or you just enjoy in general. Or let me know why you don't like Christmas horror movies, or why you don't like horror movies for that fact, because I want to hear from you. In addition to that, go follow us on social media, and go follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/trythestew, or on Twitter, which is geek_stew. And then, of course, you can follow me, which is pint-sized beast. There's a long story to that, a story for another time. But that being said, everybody out there, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays to you. We will see you in the next one. See ya.